Hello, everybody. So we're back with another one of these tests because I find them a lot of fun and they're easy views. So this is the psychopathy symptoms test, and this is done by my friend Terrellian. This isn't actually mine. So this tests nonconformity, lack of empathy, callousness, impulsivity, deviance, acting out, lack of remorse, and irresponsibility. Now I expect to get close to zero on this one because I really have almost no psychopathic traits to me. At least that's what, generally speaking, when I've done these tests in the past, I get. But if nothing else, it'll be interesting to take a look at it. Okay, lame disclaimer. Let's just click through that. Questions. Let's see here. I don't really want to read all through this because this is super long. Okay, so first question. Others have described me as irresponsible or unreliable. Virtually no one ever describes me that way. The only time I'm unreliable is if my alarm doesn't go off for some reason. So, nope. I feel no regret when I hurt someone. If anything, I feel too much regret when I hurt someone, to the point that there's some things I did back in grade school that were extremely minor. Like I was just doodling once, and I happened to be doodling on someone else's workbook, and I felt really bad about it. It is easy for me to break my promises. The problem is, in modern society, the term promise is very much overused. It's used in basically any context where you agree to something. And I don't always follow through on things that I said I'm going to do. And those of you who've watched this channel for a long time know that. So I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to put that as a neutral. Most people who fight for so-called social justice are really motivated by a desire to exert power over others. Strongly agree. I don't usually volunteer to help others. Their qualms are their problems, not mine. I disagree. I generally at least try to talk to them, but I mean, there's a limited amount of time I have, and there's a limited amount I can do to help people, so. I do often put in a bit of an effort. I base my conclusions on my own experience, not on what society says I'm supposed to believe. I don't really know. A lot of these questions always determine what kind of society you live in. Like, I live in Canada, so I don't agree with a lot of what society teaches me. But if I lived in the Canada of the 19th century, I'd probably agree with a lot of it. So I'm just going to say neutral on this one. When I get frustrated, I get angry very angry very quickly. No, I have a really bad temper, but it takes a very long time for me to blow my top. I do not feel guilty when I hurt or offend someone. No, I even feel bad if I hurt or offend enemies, so that's not true. Before I do anything, I carefully consider the possible consequences. Yeah, I actually consider them too much to the point where it makes action difficult. I do not feel bad when I lie. Once again, this is a concept that has been dramatically changed during the modern era, where people try to skirt the truth and hide things and that kind of thing. So I do lie a fair amount. I'm not going to pretend I don't. So I think I'm just going to put neutral. I think it's different if you're lying about something that's relatively irrelevant versus something more important. So I've been in a lot of shouting matches with people. No, I've been in very few. I sometimes find myself admiring a really clever scam. I mean, you kind of have to. It's the art of it, or like the amount of intelligence that goes into some scams. Most of the bad things that have happened to me have been other people's fault. I disagree with that. A lot of it is kind of personal issues. Granted, there's some mental illnesses that undermine them and really contributed to a lot of the personal issues I've had. And there's things like the economy and affirmative action and other things that have made kind of holding a job difficult. But overall, I'd somewhat disagree. When I become angry at someone, it is as if I have to keep hurting him until they have been completely humiliated. No, I tend to just kind of sink in on myself and go away and sulk. I enjoy hurting someone physically, sexually, or emotionally. I talk like I do sometimes, but I really don't. Even when like my enemies sometimes get brought down, I often will feel kind of sorry for them or kind of bad for them. I don't really enjoy seeing people in pain, even if I try to kind of say that to appear tougher than I am. I would not feel upset if I saw a child bullied in the street. No, I disagree strongly. I disagree with most of society's conventional values. I don't know what that means exactly. Does that, like, what values? I'm just going to say neutral because I agree with the values of like 50 to 100 years ago. I don't agree with the values of today. So just going to say neutral. My morality is different from that of most people. Once again, my morality is based on Christianity. So that would be different from most people. But it's not different in historical sense. So I'm just going to strongly agree. There will always be suckers whose lot in life is to get ripped off by smarter people. No, that's just an excuse for being immoral. I mislead people with false promises to get what I want. I generally don't. Oftentimes, I think there's a difference between lying and then promising something and not being able to deliver or having to go back on it at the time you thought you'd be able to accomplish it. So I'm going to disagree with that. I have often been described as cold or uncaring. I'm going to say I disagree with that. I'm very impassive and kind of stoic at work, and people can't really tell what I'm thinking. That's not so much that I'm bad at expressing myself. I just feel that the workplace is so toxic and so just full of landmines that it's probably for the best to just kind of try to keep your distance. Deep down, I do not care what others are feeling. Strongly disagree. I do not care if I offend others. I actually somewhat disagree. I feel bad sometimes when people post that I'm a hater or something. I'm almost always faking it when I say I'm sorry. No, I almost never fake apologies. Except at work sometimes. I'm not upset as others when someone dies. This is an interesting one because in my personal life I am, but I don't like the concept of public grief for the sake of public grief. Like that if someone dies, you show like you tear your clothes and you talk about how sad you are. And I kind of find in a lot of cases it's a form of virtue signaling. So I'm going to have to actually agree with that. I tend to go on intimidating rants when I get angry. I don't think they're really intimidating. I think they're like angry, and I like to think I get more articulate when I get mad. I don't really like. Okay, I guess maybe. I don't know. I don't plan anything very far in advance. Nope. Most of society's ideas about morality are just a big scam. Once again, I don't know what they mean by this, so I'm just picking neutral for all of these. I have stolen things because I felt I deserved them. I'm going to somewhat disagree. I guess you could count pirating movies and anime and stuff as stealing. You could even say I felt I deserved them because they were overpriced. But I've never stolen anything in real life. And I think online is somewhat different. So I'm going to disagree. Deceptions and lies are part of everyday life. Everyone does it all the time. I think about minor things because some things aren't really important and they're embarrassing and they really aren't other people's business. So I don't know. I think also like some people just lie when they're backed into a corner or they're like nervous or they're embarrassed or something. And I don't think that's quite the same thing as lying to like deliberately hurt someone. So I kind of somewhat agree with that. Others say that I react to even everyday insults as if they were personal insults. I used to be like that, but after I went through therapy, I'm a lot more accepting that bad things happen. I have ideas about right and wrong that most people do not agree with. Once again, this would be true in our society, but historically it's not true, so I'm just going to say neutral. I do not see the point of so-called acts of kindness or good deeds. My own happiness is more important. I mean, you can destroy yourself for the good of people who don't deserve it. And there is a point in time where you have to step back and just not get involved because the situation's too toxic or the person in question is like a psychopath, ironically enough, or something like that. And there's times you have to get out, but at the same time, in this particular context, I'm going to disagree. When I have lied or deceived someone, it is most often been the other person's fault. I'm going to disagree. The only case this would be is people who are just who just scream and freak out over really minor stuff. I'm usually brutally honest when speaking about sensitive topics. I don't see the need to spare people from the harsh realities of the world. Online, that's probably about 75% the case. In real life, it's probably about 10% the case. I'm very conservative in what I talk about in real life. I do not feel compelled to pay back a loan if I can see a way I can get away with not doing so. That's sociopathic behavior. Unless it's, okay, like if there's a legal way to get out of it. But that's different. Like a lot of student loans in Canada just get forgiven as part of debt relief. So if I can get out of paying it through legal debt relief offered by the government, of course I'm going to do that. I do not care whether something I do is illegal. I'm going to disagree. Broadly speaking, I do. Things that are like actual crimes, not stuff like hate speech or whatever, or fake news, but like actually defrauding someone, actually assaulting someone. I quickly lose interest in the tasks I start. There's a certain sense to that, but that's not psychopathy. That's a bipolar thing. Is when I'm manic, I'll maybe buy like 5 audiobooks or something and load them, and then I don't get around to them. Or I'll download 10 anime series and then only get to them like a year later. So there's that aspect of it, but that doesn't come from psychopathy. I do not relate to the notion of being happy for others. I don't know what that means exactly. I'm just going to say neutral. I have a history of sexual promiscuity. No, not at all. So let's see what I get. I get your psychopathy symptoms are low. So in particular, irresponsibility is very low. Lack of remorse is very low. Acting out is very low. Impulsivity is almost non-existent. Nonconformity is probably the highest. Once again, I think it kind of belongs in the center because of the way my political beliefs work. Once again, they would largely conform to stuff in a previous age, at least with regards to my like moral sensibilities. Like, for instance, believing marriage is between a man and a woman is the norm for 98% of human history. The fact that it isn't today means that I am a nonconformist, but I would be a conformist. The idea that I think you should have the death penalty for certain crimes is another thing that was the norm for like 90% of human history, and my belief in that. Also stuff like being against abortion, all the social issue stuff was the norm for most of human, or at least a lot of human history, at least in the West. So that's what I get. I don't really think I need to go through these. I think these are pretty straightforward. Or why not? Let's just skim through them. Some nonconformity. People with psychopathic symptoms see relationships and situations in accordance with their own unorthodox principles. They do not agree with traditional beliefs and often dislike conforming to social norms. Indeed, they may even be contemptuous of conventional beliefs. Well, that definitely describes me, although not the traditional part. Lack of empathy. What did I get for lack of empathy? Yeah, like almost nothing. I don't have an issue in that area. Deviance, like, I guess because my answer's about lying, but yeah, broadly speaking, virtually no indications of psychopathy. So that's good. At least you know that about me. You can be confident that I'm not a psychopath. Although I don't think anyone probably thought I was a psychopath, but anyways, guys, God bless. Keep the faith, and more quality content to come real soon.